The twin suns of planet Kareth burned low on the horizon, painting the wastelands in red and gold. Miles trudged across the cracked ground, his boots heavy with dust. He was a human mechanic, stranded after his ship broke down during a trading mission. He had been walking for hours, searching for signs of life, or at least water. His oxygen meter blinked yellow. The wind howled softly across the dunes. Everything felt dead, until he saw something moving near a pile of broken metal. He froze. The shape was small, curled, almost human, but glowing faintly. Miles moved closer, cautious. It was a young alien woman, her silver hair tangled, her skin marked with strange blue lines that pulsed weakly like fading light. Her clothes were torn and a royal crest shimmered faintly on her chest. She was breathing, but barely. Miles knelt down beside her. Hey! Can you hear me? He whispered. The alien's eyelids fluttered. Her lips trembled and she spoke in a weak, melodic voice. Please, don't touch. Forbidden. Then she coughed, blood shining like liquid crystal. Miles looked around. No one else was there. The wreck beside her looked like a crashed royal skimmer, a high-class ship used by noble families. If she was from the royal house, then she wasn't just anyone. But she was dying. He looked at his trembling hands. I can't just leave you, he muttered. Her pulse was fading fast. Panic struck him. He tore off a part of his sleeve and tried to cover her wounds, but the alien skin shimmered and resisted the cloth. She gasped again, whispering something in her language. He didn't understand it. But the fear in her eyes told him everything. Miles hesitated, then reached out, just to check her pulse. The moment his fingers brushed her skin, the ground seemed to vibrate. A faint hum filled the air. The blue lines on her skin flared to life, brighter and brighter until the glow was almost blinding. Her chest rose sharply, her breathing steadied, and her trembling stopped. Miles stumbled back in shock. What the hell? The alien girl's eyes opened slowly, deep violet, glowing faintly. She stared at him, confused and terrified. You touched me, she whispered. He raised his hands. I didn't mean to, but before he could explain, a loud whir filled the air. Shadows passed over the sand. From the distance, several royal hovercrafts appeared, flying fast and low. Miles's heart pounded. Rescue teams, he muttered. Good. They'll help her. But when the ships landed, he saw armored guards step out. Tall, scaled aliens wearing black armor and carrying energy spears. Their leader, a massive alien with golden eyes, shouted something in their language and pointed straight at him. Wait, I was helping her, Miles said, backing up with his hands raised. The dying princess, now glowing with life, suddenly sat up and shouted something urgent to them. The guards froze mid-step, confusion flashing across their faces. The leader looked between Miles and the princess, disbelief in his expression. Then slowly he lowered his weapon. Impossible, he murmured in his thick accent. No one can touch the royal blood without death. Miles frowned. What are you talking about? The leader's golden eyes narrowed. Human, what have you done? Before he could answer, the princess reached out weakly, her trembling hand pointing at Miles. He healed me, she said softly. Gasps echoed among the guards. The leader's jaw tightened. The curse, broken by an outsider? The hum of engines filled the air again as a larger golden ship descended, sleek, shining, bearing the royal crest of Kareth. Miles felt small under its shadow. The doors opened and out stepped a tall alien woman wearing a silver crown, the queen herself. Her expression was calm but cold as she looked at the scene. Her revived daughter, the terrified human and the stunned guards. The queen's eyes narrowed on Miles. Bring the human, she ordered. Miles tried to explain. I didn't do anything wrong. I just helped her. But two guards grabbed him firmly by the arms. The princess tried to stand, weakly calling out, Mother, wait, The queen's voice cut through the noise, quiet but sharp. No one touches royal blood and lives, human or not. As they dragged Miles toward the ship, the princess's glowing eyes followed him with silent fear and gratitude. The hum of the engines rose again, lifting them into the red sky. Miles didn't know what was happening. But one thing was clear. His simple act of kindness had just shaken an entire empire. The golden ship glided silently above the royal city of Kareth, its shining towers reflecting the twin suns. Inside, Miles sat in a cold metallic cell. His wrists were bound with glowing cuffs that hummed softly. He didn't understand what was happening. All he knew was that he had tried to save someone, and now he was treated like a criminal. Guards passed by, tall and silent. They looked at him with a mix of fear and disgust. One whispered to another, "He touched her and lived." The other shook his head, muttering, "Impossible." "No being can touch the royal bloodline. It brings death," Miles sighed. "Great. Guess I broke a sacred rule without knowing." He leaned against the wall, staring at the blue light shining through the bars. Suddenly, the door hissed open. The same alien leader from before entered, the one with golden eyes and heavy armor. His name, as Miles overheard, was Commander Vile. Vile stepped closer, his eyes sharp. "Human, what did you do to the princess?" Miles lifted his hands. "I told you already. She was dying. I tried to help." "I didn't even know she was a princess," Vile's voice rumbled low. "You lie. Many have tried to touch her before, healers, mystics, even machines. They all turned to ash." Miles blinked. "Ash, you mean—" "They died?" The commander nodded slowly. "The royal blood is cursed. Long ago, when our empire fought the Shadow Plague, the gods marked the royal family to keep their power pure. No outsider could touch them without being destroyed." Miles frowned. "Then why didn't I die?" Vile's golden eyes narrowed. "That is what the Queen wants to know." Moments later, the guards arrived again. "The Queen summons the human," one said. They took him through long, glowing halls filled with alien art and floating lights. Everything felt ancient and sacred. Miles's heart pounded as he entered the throne chamber. The Queen sat on a tall crystal seat. Her silver crown shimmered and her cold eyes studied him. Around her stood royal advisors, guards, and nobles whispering in low voices. Beside the throne stood the princess, alive, dressed in clean royal robes. Her violet eyes glowed softly, her silver hair brushed neatly. She looked much stronger, but her gaze was full of worry. When Miles saw her, he almost smiled. "You're okay," he said softly. A few nobles gasped at his casual tone. The Queen's sharp voice echoed through the chamber. Silence. Miles froze. The Queen rose from her seat and slowly descended the steps. "Human," she said. "You broke a curse older than this palace. You touched royal blood and did not die. You healed what no healer could. Explain yourself." "I can't," Miles said honestly. "I didn't do anything special, I just cared." Whispers spread through the crowd like a wave. The Queen's eyes softened for a brief second, then hardened again. "Caring does not heal the sacred bloodline. There must be something else within you." She turned to her guards. "Scan him." A glowing device hovered near Miles's chest. Lines of light passed over his skin. The machine beeped rapidly, then went silent. The royal scientist looked stunned. "Your Majesty," he said quietly. "His cells, they contain regenerative energy, similar to the life force of the first star. But that's impossible." The Queen frowned. "The first star died thousands of cycles ago." Miles looked between them. "First star? What's that?" The princess finally spoke, her voice soft but clear. "The source of our people's life, a divine star that once blessed our world. Only the royal blood carries its echo." She stepped closer, her eyes fixed on him. "You say you carry it too?" The Queen stared at him with growing suspicion. "Who are you, human?" Miles shook his head. "Just a mechanic. I fix engines, not magic bloodlines." The Queen's expression turned unreadable. "Perhaps you are lying. Or perhaps fate sent you here for a reason." She turned to her guards. "Keep him alive. For now." As the guards led Miles away, the princess suddenly stepped forward. "Mother, please." "He saved me. He's not our enemy." The Queen's voice softened slightly. "Then let him prove it. Tomorrow he will face the trial of purity. If his power is true, the gods will show us." Miles's eyes widened. "Trial? What kind of trial?" The commander smirked. "One that no outsider has ever survived." The doors closed behind him, echoing through the great hall. The princess stood frozen, her heart pounding with fear. For the first time in her life, she questioned her mother's will and feared what destiny had just brought into their world. The next morning, the palace buzzed with tension. News had spread fast across Kareth about the strange human who healed the royal princess by touch. Many believed it was blasphemy. Others whispered that it was a sign from the gods. Miles stood in a wide arena beneath the palace, surrounded by glowing symbols etched into the stone floor. Tall alien guards watched from every corner. The air hummed with power, ancient and heavy. He swallowed hard, trying to hide his fear. "So this is your idea of a test?" he muttered. Commander Vial stood nearby, his golden eyes cold. "This is not a test, human. It is judgment. If your touch is holy, the light will protect you. If not," he gestured toward the glowing symbols, "the flame will consume you." Miles forced a shaky breath. "Fantastic. No pressure." High above, the royal gallery shimmered open. The queen appeared with her daughter beside her. The Princess Lyra looked worried. She wanted to speak, but the queen's hand stopped her. "Begin," the queen commanded. The arena's symbols flared bright blue. The ground trembled. From the center, a crystal pillar rose, swirling with light. A deep echoing voice filled the air, a recording of the ancient gods of Kareth. "Let the trial of purity reveal truth," the voice boomed. Miles stared at the pillar. "And what am I supposed to do? Shake hands with it?" "Touch it," Val said sharply. "If you are chosen, it will accept you." He hesitated only a moment, then placed his hand on the glowing crystal. Instantly, light exploded across the arena. The runes pulsed like living veins. Miles's body lifted slightly off the ground, energy dancing around him. His heart pounded as warmth flooded through him, not burning, but healing. Images flashed before his eyes, memories not his own. He saw the first star, a great being of light giving power to an alien world. He saw the royal family blessed with that same glow, their touch healing and creating life. Then a shadow, darkness consuming the light, and the gods sealing their gift so it could never be abused again. Miles gasped, pulling his hand away. The light dimmed slowly. He fell to his knees, breathing hard. The crowd stared in silence. He was still alive. The crystal still shone faintly, glowing with the same color as his human aura. The queen stood, her eyes wide. "Impossible." Vial stepped closer, voice trembling. "The crystal accepted him. The gods accepted him." Miles blinked. "So that means I passed?" Before anyone could answer, the light shifted again. The pillar cracked down the center, releasing a pulse that rippled through the chamber. The symbols on the floor changed color, from blue to gold. The royal priest fell to his knees, shouting, "The prophecy! It has begun!" The queen's expression darkened. "Prophecy?" The priest rose, shaking. The old scroll spoke of a wanderer from the stars, a being not of Kareth, whose touch would restore life to the dying royal line. Gasps filled the hall. The queen turned toward Miles slowly. Her voice was steady, but her eyes held fear. "You mean to say he is the one?" The priest bowed. "Yes, your majesty. The healer of the lost star." Miles rubbed the back of his neck. I just wanted to fix my ship." The crowd's whispers grew louder. Some shouted praise, others shouted in anger. "Blasphemy! A human cannot carry divine power." "He is the chosen." Lyra finally stepped forward, ignoring her mother's warning look. "He saved me. You all saw it. The gods wouldn't protect him if he were false." The queen's gaze softened slightly. "Perhaps," she said slowly, "but his arrival will bring danger. The shadow plague may return for him." The chamber went still. Miles frowned. "Shadow plague? What's that?" Vial spoke grimly. "A darkness that once devoured whole worlds. It feeds on the same energy you carry now." The queen looked down at him with cold resolve. "Your touch healed my daughter, human. But now your existence might doom us all." Miles stared back, confusion and fear mixing inside him. "Then what do you want me to do?" "Leave this palace," the queen said quietly. "Until we understand who you truly are," Lyra gasped. "Mother, no! He's not." But the guards had already stepped forward. As Miles was escorted out of the arena, the golden light still glowed softly behind him. The energy inside him pulsed, alive, mysterious, and growing stronger. High above, Lyra watched him disappear down the corridor, her heart heavy. For the first time, she wondered if the gods had truly sent the human, not as a curse, but as hope. The desert stretched endlessly outside the walls of the shining city. Miles walked through the orange dust, escorted by 2 guards who said nothing. Behind him, the gates of the royal palace closed with a deep metallic sound, sealing his fate. He was banished. The queen's words echoed in his head. "Until we understand you, you are forbidden to enter the capital." The guards dropped him near an abandoned outpost on the edge of the desert. "You'll stay here," one of them said coldly. "Food units are inside. Don't try to escape. The Queen's eyes are everywhere." When they left, Miles sat on the dusty floor staring at the horizon. "I saved someone's life, and now I'm the problem," he muttered. The small shelter buzzed with silence. He fixed the broken solar panels, repaired the lights, and tried to make the place livable. But at night he couldn't sleep. Strange dreams haunted him. Visions of light, stars exploding, and whispers calling his name. Sometimes he felt energy humming inside his body like a second heartbeat. It scared him. Days passed. He thought he was completely alone, until one night he heard the sound of wings. He stepped outside. A small royal transport landed silently behind the outpost. From it emerged Princess Lyra, wrapped in a dark cloak, her silver hair hidden beneath a hood. Miles froze. "What are you doing here?" She smiled faintly. "Disobeying my mother, again." He shook his head. "You shouldn't be here." "If she finds out, she won't," Lyra said softly. "I needed to see you. I had to thank you properly," Miles sighed. "You already did that when you didn't die." She giggled quietly, then stepped closer. Her eyes glowed faintly violet in the moonlight. "The healers examined me after you left. My body is stronger than before. Whatever happened between us, it changed something inside me." He looked uneasy. "Changed you how?" Lyra hesitated, then extended her hand. A small glowing flower appeared in her palm, a sign of life energy. "I can heal others now," she whispered. Miles's eyes widened. "That's good?" "It's impossible," she said softly. "No royal has created life since the first star faded." The wind howled between them. They stood in silence, the stars above shining brighter than before. Finally, Miles spoke. "You think this, whatever happened, means something big, don't you?" Lyra nodded. "The priests say the shadow plague awakens when the healer appears. The same curse that killed our ancestors could return." Miles frowned. "So, you're saying I started the end of your world?" She smiled sadly. "Or maybe you started its rebirth." Before Miles could answer, the ground trembled. The sand rippled like water, and dark energy seeped through the cracks. The air grew cold, and a faint scream echoed from beneath the desert. Lyra gasped. "No, it's happening." Miles's instincts kicked in. "Get back to the ship." But before they could move, black tendrils of smoke erupted from the ground, twisting into monstrous shapes. Eyes, glowing red, opened within the shadows. The creatures roared, shaking the desert. Miles grabbed Lyra's arm and pulled her behind the outpost. "Stay down," he shouted. A shadow beast lunged toward them. Miles raised his hand instinctively, and a bright pulse of golden light burst from his palm. The creature screamed, disintegrating into dust. Miles stared at his glowing hand, shocked. "What was that?" Lyra looked at him in awe. "You used the starlight, the divine power." He took a step back. "I don't even know how I did that." But there was no time to think. More creatures emerged, surrounding them. Lyra closed her eyes, gathering her own light. Together they unleashed a wave of golden and violet energy that spread across the dunes, burning away the shadows. When the light faded, silence returned. The sand was calm again. Lyra dropped to her knees, breathing heavily. "They were scouts," she said weakly. "The shadow plague is real. It sensed you." Miles looked out at the horizon where faint black smoke still rose in the distance. "Then we have to warn your mother." Lyra shook her head. "If she learns the plague came because of you, she'll destroy you before she listens." Miles clenched his fists. "Then what do we do?" Lyra looked up, her violet eyes filled with determination. "We find the truth of your power before the darkness finds us." The wind carried their words into the night. For the first time, Miles realized his touch wasn't just healing. It was the key to something far greater and far more dangerous. The next morning, the desert was calm again, but the peace felt fragile, like glass ready to shatter. Miles sat near the outpost, watching the twin suns rise. The memory of last night's battle still burned in his mind. The shadows, the screams, and that strange golden power that had burst from his hands. Lyra was beside him, her silver hair glowing softly in the dawn light. She looked tired but calm. "Those shadow beasts," she said quietly. "They came from beneath the sands. That means the seal is breaking." Miles frowned. "Seal?" She nodded. "Long ago, when the first star fell, the gods sealed the shadow plague deep underground. But now that your light has awakened, the seal feels it. like a heartbeat calling to another. Miles sighed. So my power's basically a beacon for monsters. Great. Lyra smiled faintly. Or maybe it's a weapon against them. She turned toward the horizon where ancient ruins rose like teeth from the desert floor. There's a place my mother forbade anyone to enter, the Temple of the First Star. The old texts say it holds the truth about our curse. And the one who can break it, Miles stood. Then that's where we're going. The journey took hours. They crossed endless dunes, their ship flying low to avoid royal scanners. The ruins grew larger as they approached. Broken spires, half-buried halls, and symbols glowing faintly beneath centuries of dust. When they landed, the air felt heavy. Miles could sense the same hum that had filled the arena during the trial, but deeper, older. This place gives me chills, he said. That's because it's alive, Lyra replied softly. The temple watches all who enter. They stepped through a cracked stone archway. The walls inside were covered with carvings, images of glowing beings surrounded by stars. One carving showed a human-like figure standing beside the royal family of Kareth, their hands joined in light. Miles stopped, staring. Wait a second. That's a human. Lyra's eyes widened. Nope, they can't be, but it was. The figure's shape, its clothing, it was clearly human. And below the carving, ancient symbols glowed faintly. Lyra ran her fingers over them, translating slowly. The Lightbringer shall return from the lost world, and his touch shall heal the royal flame. Miles blinked. Lost world? You mean Earth? She looked at him, stunned. Your planet was the first star's cradle? Before he could answer, the ground rumbled. The temple lights flickered. Something dark moved within the shadows ahead. Lyra grabbed his arm. They followed us. From the cracks in the floor, tendrils of black mist rose again, forming into tall, twisted creatures with red eyes. Their hissing voices echoed through the ancient halls. The Lightbringer must die. Miles stepped in front of Lyra. Stay behind me! The air shimmered around him, golden light forming across his arms. He didn't think, he just moved. When the first shadow leapt forward, his hand shot out and a wave of pure light blasted through it. The creature screamed and vanished. Lyra joined him, her violet aura flaring bright. Together they fought side by side, light and starlight burning against the darkness. The temple trembled with every strike. Finally, the last shadow fell. Silence returned. The golden light faded slowly from Miles's hands. He looked at Lyra, breathing heavily. I don't know how I keep doing that, she smiled softly. You don't need to know. The light remembers you even if you don't remember it. Miles frowned. What do you mean? She pointed toward a chamber deeper inside. The answer waits there. They walked into the heart of the temple, a round room filled with glowing crystals. In the center floated a sphere of light, pulsing like a heartbeat. As Miles approached, the light reached toward him. A soft voice filled the air, not in sound but in feeling. Child of Earth. The forgotten spark. Miles froze. You know me? You are the descendant of the first star's guardian, the voice said gently. Your ancestors carried the same light that gave life to Kareth. But when they left this world, the bond was lost, until your touch restored it. Lyra stood in awe. So the curse wasn't punishment, it was a wound. A wound only your kind could heal. The light dimmed slightly. The darkness rises again. The bond must be renewed fully or all worlds will fall. Miles looked down at his hands. How do I do that? By joining the royal bloodline in unity of light, the voice whispered. Only together can the flame and the spark be whole. The light faded, leaving them in silence. Lyra's heart pounded as she met his eyes. Unity of light. That means you and me. Miles swallowed hard. You mean like a bond? She nodded slowly, her cheeks flushing. Yes, a sacred one. Outside, thunder rolled across the desert as black clouds began to form. The shadow plague was awakening faster now, and for the first time Miles understood. His arrival wasn't an accident. It was destiny. The desert sky had turned black. Lightning flashed across the horizon as if the planet itself was afraid. From the temple of the first star, golden light spilled out into the darkness, marking the beginning of something ancient and powerful. Miles stood silently near the glowing crystal chamber, the words of the ancient voice echoing in his mind. Join the royal bloodline in unity of light. It sounded poetic but terrifying. He turned to Lyra, who was watching the storm through the cracked stone doorway. Her violet aura shimmered faintly. her silver hair flowing in the hot wind. You think the light meant a bond between us? Lyra looked down, nervous. The royal scrolls call it a binding of souls. It was done only once before, thousands of cycles ago, when a being from another world merged their essence with the royal heir. It created a bridge between worlds. Miles frowned. Merged as in become one person? She smiled softly. Not one body, one heart. The bond allows energy to flow freely. If we share the same light, we can stop the plague together. Miles hesitated. And if we fail? Her smile faded. Then the darkness spreads across the stars. Outside, the ground trembled again. Dark clouds gathered over the temple. The shadow plague was growing stronger, feeding on fear and energy. Miles could feel it, something cold pressing against his mind, whispering lies. You don't belong here. The voice hissed inside his thoughts. You are the cause of their pain. He shook his head. Get out of my head. Lyra stepped closer and placed her hand gently over his heart. The shadow is trying to break you. Don't listen. As soon as she touched him, the whispers faded. Warmth spread through him again. The same feeling he'd felt the first time he touched her dying body. The golden glow returned, mixing with her violet light until both colors became one. The temple floor responded. The carvings began to move, ancient energy awakening. Lyra looked up at him, eyes wide. It's starting. They stood together in the circle of light. Miles could feel her heartbeat sync with his. The golden and violet light swirled around them like twin flames. A wind rose, strong and sharp, carrying whispers of the old gods. Two lights, one destiny. Flame and spark shall become the starborn. Miles gasped as power rushed through his body, his mind filled with visions. He saw the royal bloodline's history, the fall of the first star, and the ancient human explorers who had once walked these alien lands. They had been connected once, humanity and Kareth, born from the same celestial source. The bond completed with a brilliant flash of light. Lyra staggered forward, breathing heavily. Her eyes now shimmered with a mix of gold and violet. Miles's body glowed faintly too, his veins tracing golden lines under his skin. They could feel each other's presence, not just near, but inside. Lyra whispered, "We did it." Before Miles could reply, the temple shook violently. The sky outside tore open, and from the storm came a shape, massive, dark, with wings of shadow stretching across the horizon. The plague. Lyra breathed. It's here. The air turned icy. The creature's body was made of swirling darkness, its eyes like twin suns gone black. It let out a roar that shook the dunes for miles. Miles felt fear grip his chest, but also something else. Energy surged through him again, stronger than before. He could feel Lyra's strength mixing with his own. He looked at her. Let's finish this. She nodded, determination in her glowing eyes. Together they stepped out of the temple and into the storm. The monster moved toward them, its tendrils stretching across the sand. Wherever it touched, life turned to dust. Lyra raised her hand and violet light shot upward, forming a shield. Go, she shouted. Use your light. Miles focused, letting the power inside him rise. The golden glow erupted from his chest, forming into a beam that cut through the storm. The shadow screamed, recoiling, but it didn't die. It gathered itself and lunged forward again, crushing everything in its path. Lyra fell to one knee. It's too strong. Miles ran to her side. Not if we do it together. He placed his hand over hers, their lights merging again, gold and violet swirling into white. The ground cracked beneath them. The temple behind exploded in pure light as the merged energy shot upward like a star being born. The shadow shrieked as its form began to burn away, but the force was too much. The light started to tear them apart from inside. Miles could feel himself fading. Lyra, he shouted. We can't hold it. She looked up at him through tears. If we stop now, everyone dies. Miles clenched his jaw. Then we don't stop. He poured every bit of his energy into the light, and Lyra did the same. The white blaze burst outward, filling the entire desert. The shadow let out one last terrible scream, then vanished into dust. Silence followed. The storm faded. The desert glowed under the rising suns once again. Miles collapsed, his body trembling. Lyra caught him, holding him tightly. Their lights dimmed slowly but didn't fade completely. You did it, she whispered. We did it, he smiled weakly. Yeah, but something tells me it's not over yet. In the distance, far beyond the dunes, A faint pulse of black energy flickered again, like the heartbeat of a darkness not yet dead. The twin suns rose again over the scarred desert of Kereth. The storm was gone, but the air still smelled of ash and lightning. The temple lay in ruins, glowing faintly with traces of golden light. Miles opened his eyes slowly, the world spinning around him. His whole body ached. He felt weak but alive. Nearby, Lyra stirred, her silver hair covered in dust. She blinked, and when her eyes met his, they both smiled with quiet relief. "It's over," Miles whispered. Lyra sat up carefully. "For now," she said softly. "But the light inside us, it's still burning." Miles looked at his hands. The golden glow was faint but steady. "Guess we didn't just stop that thing," he said. "We became part of something bigger." A gentle breeze moved through the broken temple carrying a voice, soft, ancient, and warm. "You have restored what was lost." Both of them looked up. A shimmer of light formed above the temple, shaping into a glowing figure the spirit of the first star. Its form was neither human nor alien, but a being of pure radiance. Lyra knelt instinctively. "Great star," she whispered. The being smiled. "Rise, heir of Kereth, and you, child of Earth. You have completed the bond of light reuniting two worlds that were once one." Miles frowned. "Two worlds? Earth and Kereth?" "Yes," the being replied. "Long ago your ancestors and hers shared the same light. When they drifted apart, both worlds began to fade. But through your unity the flame of life burns again." Lyra's eyes glistened. "Then the curse on our bloodline lifted," the being said gently. "The royal flame is whole once more." Miles felt relief wash over him, but also worry. "What about the shadow plague? Is it gone?" The being's glow dimmed slightly. "Defeated, not destroyed. It sleeps now, waiting for weakness. But as long as the bond between your lights endures, it cannot rise again." The temple began to tremble softly, and the spirit's light started to fade. "Remember this," it said. "The light is not in blood or bone, it lives in kindness. The same touch that healed once will heal again." And then the being was gone. Silence filled the air, broken only by the wind. Lyra stood beside him, her expression a mix of awe and sorrow. "He's right," she said softly. "The light came from your heart, Miles. You didn't need magic, you only needed compassion." He smiled faintly. "Guess that's the one thing humans are good at." She turned to him, her violet golden eyes shining. "You're more than human now. You're starborn." Before he could reply, a bright beam of light appeared in the sky. A royal ship descending toward them. The Queen's crest glowed on its side. Miles sighed. "Here comes trouble." The ship landed and royal guards rushed out. Commander Vale stepped forward, eyes wide at the sight of the two glowing figures standing among the ruins. "By the stars, you actually survived?" The Queen herself emerged, regal and calm. Her silver crown reflected the golden light coming from Miles and Lyra. For a long moment she said nothing, just studied them. Then she walked closer and placed her hand on her daughter's cheek. "You're alive," she whispered, her voice trembling for the first time. Lyra smiled. "Because of him." She turned toward Miles. "Mother, he is the reason our people still live." The Queen looked at the human standing in silence, his clothes torn, his skin faintly glowing. "And yet," she said softly, "you are still an outsider." Miles lowered his eyes. "I didn't come here to belong. I just wanted to help." For a long moment the Queen watched him. Then she did something no one expected. She bowed her head slightly. "Then you have done more than any warrior of Kereth ever could." "You have my gratitude," Miles blinked. "You're welcome." Lyra giggled, the tension breaking. The Queen smiled faintly. "But the bond between you two cannot remain here. The gods bound your fates, but your world still needs its spark." She looked at Miles. "You must return to your planet. The connection between Earth and Kereth will now awaken again, and our fates will be joined through the stars." Miles's heart sank. "Go back?" Lyra's voice trembled. But the Queen touched her daughter's shoulder gently. "This is the will of the light. It does not end love, it strengthens it." Miles turned to Lyra. "Will I see you again?" Lyra stepped closer, holding his hand. Their combined glow shimmered between their palms. "The bond connects us forever," she whispered. "No matter how far the stars," he smiled sadly. "Then that's enough." As he boarded the royal ship that would carry him to his repaired vessel, the dawn light painted the desert gold. Lyra stood at the temple gate watching him leave, her eyes full of hope, not sadness. High above, Miles's ship rose into the endless sky. He looked down one last time, whispering, "I'll be back, Princess." And as the stars opened before him, a single thread of golden light connected his ship to the glowing planet below, an unbroken bond between two worlds, and two hearts that had once again become one.